The show must go on, even though Windows 7 will not be alive. Well, I guess it's still alive next Friday, but it's not
Have
really.
you heard of something called Zero Patch? So if you go to zero, the number zero, like the number zero patched, I think that's the site. Let me just make sure before I say that. Zeropatch.com. Yes. No, actually it's .zendex. Hello. Yeah, zeropatch.com. So
Yeah.
they're obviously anyway. They deploy something called micro patches, which are basically ways to patch an operating system without causing reboots. And what they say they're going to do for Windows 7 is evaluate each of Microsoft's monthly security vulnerability updates, see if they apply to Windows 7, deploy a proof of concept for it, then create a fix, and then deploy that to the people who are using the service. And as an individual, nonprofit, personal use, educational, it's free.
Interesting.
Now, do we trust these people?
Right. That's
I don't know, but apparently, based on their blog is at zeropatch.zendesk.com. So that might tell you something about their corporate parentage. Like it's not Bob and Bill out in the back room of their parents' basement.
Well, Zendesk
somewhere.
is a like help desk platform, isn't it?
I think so. And then it says Zero Patch by Acros Security, which I've also never heard of. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, I think the trust thing is obviously going to be top of mind. Actually, if you go to acrossecurity.com, it looks like the Microsoft website from 1999. It's kind of funny looking. I don't know. A reader I'm going to be writing about it soon, but it's
or you could just upgrade to Windows 10 and not like have to worry about your being part of their future botnet.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just look, there are 500-ish million Windows 7 users in the world. I mean, next Wednesday they're not all leaving, so browsers are going to be supported for some amount of time. Chrome announced that Google announced they'll support Chrome through at least mid-year next year. Firefox will follow suit, etc. AV vendors will support it for some amount of time. And we can, we don't have to go on and on about all the different reasons why people might want to stay on Windows 7, but there are some legit reasons, and it's I'm just throwing it out there. I can't tell you that you should trust these people, obviously, but it is interesting that it exists.
Yeah, and it's there there's going to be a market. I mean, Chrome's supporting Windows 7 through 2021 or July of 2020.
July 20, at least. It might Windows XP they supported for 2 years after end of life. So
we got that going on. So I don't want to forget to talk about this because this was driving me nuts for like probably 3 weeks, maybe even longer. So my whole like smart home lighting establishment held together by duct tape and Ethernet had been kind of on the fritz. Like things just weren't working. Like if you manually went into the app and turned it on, it worked just fine. But if you set up an automation in HomeKit, it was not working.
Okay.
And this was driving me nuts because why wasn't it working? The really long story short here is the reason why it was not working correctly is that my Hue hub was not directly plugged into my router. It was plugged into a switch, the 24-port switch that is connected to my router.
Huh. Now you make me want to go check on this because my Hue hub, seems like a weird term, but anyway, is in a tangle of wires behind my entertainment center, which is where the router is. But there is also a switch on there because there aren't enough ports on the router. Right. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
So how did you come across that as a fix?
It was last ditch effort. I was trying to.
You actually just did it. In
other
words, you were like, screw it, I'm just going to try this.
I did it 2 days ago and it fixed the problem instantly.
Huh.
Yeah, it was driving me nuts because other things that are using HomeKit, the automation feature, were working. So, like things with my garage door and just other stuff I've connected through that. But all the lights were not working through the automation, and I couldn't figure it out. And I did it. I changed that, and every day since it has been working.
I don't understand why that would fix that. I got to be honest. I
don't know. I sprinkled some holy water on it while I did it. It's just like,
please.
You
like sacrificed a chicken. You got like a string of garlic hanging up over the router.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean so if anybody runs into that issue, you might want to try that. I mean, I tried everything. I unpaired the home hub. I just and whatever, that fixed it. And the only thing, but it's never really worked well for me in iOS, is so I have the outside lights come on at sunset, and they're supposed to shut off at sunrise. They don't always shut off at sunrise.
Right.
Sometimes they just like to hang around and stay on forever, and sometimes they do shut off. But that problem preceded this issue. They always turn on correctly, which is, I guess, the more important thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Them just working, though, would be kind of a neat feature. Yeah, it's just something to think about. It's something we don't often get, I would say, in personal technology, just works reliably all the time, same way.
Roland asked in the chat room, he says, which home improvement show on TV or fictional TV is Brad's life like? And I would say Spaceballs.
Yeah, I was going to go with The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, but...
No, my life is just like a knockoff of something that was successful.
I just watched this show, which we'll never watch again, and I went into it knowing we would never watch it again. And fortunately for everybody, I can't think of the name of it, but it's basically like two douches travel, and one of them is a baller. Oh, that's the name of it. It's like Baller and Basic or something. It's like one of them they go to the same place, but one of them has a really high-end experience, and one of them has like a really low-end experience. The guy stays at a chateau. The other guy stays in a hostel. This guy goes to the Bocuse restaurant. The other guy's eating street food,
Yeah.
It is the most horrible. We'll never watch it again. And I could tell by the name of it, like, we watch TV, we watch what amounts to 22 minutes of TV every day at lunchtime, my wife and I. So
22 minutes, fantastic time.
Because a 30-minute show is about 20, you know what I mean? So
that's a pretty specific number, but that makes sense.
I know. That's lunch, that's my lunch. So it was terrible, but it's impossible to watch two guys traveling together and making a video and not think of us. And I was thinking, I mean, you and I, with zero production value, have created better and funnier videos than these two idiots. And there is a missed opportunity there. So I just literally was thinking about this over lunch. Like, oh, God, these two idiots, it's just terrible.
I mean, we started this in Hawaii, and I'm okay with continuing it. But two dudes in a convertible, just driving, until they hit that wall where they murder each other.
Until they Thelma Louise it at the end of the series.
And that's it, folks. Right? I was like, wham.
It's just the last scene is the car going off the end of a cliff.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. There was something else. Oh, so somebody asked me this, and I didn't know the answer, but I am curious if you do. So, related to the Insider program, it used to be that, if you were in the fast ring or the slow ring, you would eventually get a build that was tied to RTM, right?
Yes.
And then you could just jump out of the fast ring program, and everything was cool.
Yep. The magic window is what we call this.
So with their new setup, with features sort of in there, not really, is there a magic window anymore?
So even before they changed to this, they actually kind of automated the magic window for people. So if you know that I'm in Windows 7, so I'll have to do this off the top of my head.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to want to stick with this version of Windows that you're currently testing, there's a switch now on the Insider tab of wherever Windows Update is in settings, whatever that's called, security and updates or something. You go down, it says Windows Insider program or something. There's a switch, an on-off switch, and you can say, it says something like, when testing of the next version starts, if you're in Windows 10 now, you can just look at it and tell me what it says. But there's a switch that says you can get off the train.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that's kind of cool because it automates the process. But I think to your point, because it's unclear what the hell it is you're testing, we'll have to wait and see how this works, but I will say this. So if anyone who's used the Windows Insider program on their Windows 10 PC knows, you can not get out of it in the middle. So if you're 3 months into 6 months of testing of the next version of Windows 10, which is not what anyone's testing anymore, but whatever, if you disenroll from the Insider program, you're stuck on that build until the RTM version of the next version comes out. But one thing you can do is switch between the rings, right? So let's say you're testing like the fast ring and you're like, I don't know if I want this anymore. I'm going to go to the slow ring. You'll sit there until the next slow ring comes. My theory is that the slow ring will represent the next version of Windows 10 at some point, right? Whereas the fast ring may or may not ever because there'll be features in it. The other possibility is that what will happen is Microsoft will eventually just take away the features they're not going to include, right? And they've done that before. I mean, so... we're all kind of stressing over this, and it's completely understandable. But imagine if it's 1 month before the next version is going to be finished, and there's 3 or 4 features we've been testing all year, or whatever the time frame was, and then we get a build, and those features are gone. And they'll say, look, that just means they're not coming in the next version. Eventually, we'll switch over to the next version, and we'll bring those features back. They could do it that way too. I don't know if that answers your question, but those are my thoughts about that. Yeah.
But that's good enough.
Okay.
The other thing too, somebody else brought up, which I hope, and I don't think we know the answer to this one, is if, I'm assuming actually it's more of when the Xbox gets the new version of Edge, if it ever does, maybe they just save that for the next gen. If it goes to that version, will it support Chromecast streaming? That would be nice.
Another question would be, will Chromecast streaming even exist at that point? Because as we know, although I guess okay, hold on a second. Actually, Chromecast existed before the Sonos stuff, right? I think the Sonos complaint is actually about something called Chromecast audio. And it's probably coincidental, but they don't even sell those devices anymore, like Chromecast audio. So Chromecast is really like a screencasting technology.
But I think it does do audio, though, doesn't it?
Well, but I think primarily,
But the codec could be in that audio side. But anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
But
anyway, sorry, I got distracted there. Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, years ago, you and I had this conversation where, Miracast has always been terrible. Why wouldn't you just license Chromecast? I mean,
I don't even
just use that.
It works great. Well, I guess maybe they probably
or whatever the process is. I don't know. Does the new Edge even it support casting right out of the box?
I'm looking at it right now.
You are. Where is it?
More tools, maybe. Yeah, Cast Media 2 device.
Yeah, it does. Okay. And of course, let's see what comes up here, because no devices found. Interesting. I guess maybe do you see devices when you do this?
Oh, I'm a little scared to do it now.
Well, try it, because I'm just curious, because the nature of those devices will tell you if it's Miracast or Chromecast. Like, it would be kind of interesting if they actually just replaced it with the Miracast.
So this is
right?
perplexing. It says no devices found, so I'm guessing it's actually Miracast. The reason why
that's why I asked. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The only reason
I have plenty of Chromecast devices,
because I'm using Chromecast.
It should have found a bunch actually here.
Yeah, well, no, I have a Chromecast hooked up for the Google.
Well, I have Chrome
Stadia.
on this PC. Let me see what that does. So, like, more tools. Oh, it's not even there.
Yeah, Cast tab, more devices, no found.
Oh, Cast. Okay. Yeah. So when I do, it must be Miracast, dude. So in Chrome, I immediately get all the devices. By the way, including an Xbox One X. That's fascinating.
Oh, does it? Really?
I get my Chromecast Ultra. I get the Google Homes. I get actually I get the audio stuff, like you were saying. It's got all the audio devices, and then it says Xbox One X, but then it says source not supported. And you can cast a tab, the desktop, or a file. So I'm going to guess and say it's Miracast. I'm sure someone listening to this knows that it
Michael Keyser, he says, casting Edge does support Chromecast, casting media and tabs.
Oh, well, I don't know why I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Anyways, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up with anything.
So I haven't actually read your post on this, but what's going on with the store?
So this may not be a major deal, but according to Mary Jo Foley, Microsoft is going to deprecate the Microsoft Store for Business and the Microsoft Store for Education. Both of those things are essentially the same thing when you think about it.
Sure.
Last year before Build, I had written this thing saying, hey, given all the changes to what store apps are, maybe the store doesn't matter so much anymore. And my guess at the time was that the store itself, the main store, Microsoft Store, would become deprecated over time, along with UWP. And of course, then at Build, we learned that Microsoft is going to allow developers to deploy store apps of any kind, whatever they are, the contain desktop apps, UWP apps, whatever, outside of the store, which kind of confirms the deprecation part. But as far as it going away permanently, I don't know. The issue there is still discoverability. I think the function that the main store supplies, which is very valid, is you can trust those apps, or at least hope that you can trust those apps, because Microsoft is certifying the trustworthiness. And they would need some way in the operating system to allow you to discover those apps otherwise, and then also communicate that they're trustworthy. however that is. So I don't know how they do that outside of a store.
We'll see.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, kind of, maybe. I mean, the store's done so well, even on the consumer side. I'm surprised they're doing that.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I'm surprised it hasn't been the model for other stores. It's like I want something like the Google Play Store, but without any of the apps. Also, if you could remove some of the content types over time, like get rid of the ebooks, maybe get rid of the music.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for them to like pull the rug out, I should say, underneath music and videos or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, they still do movies and TV shows.
Oh yeah, music or movies and TV.
I don't know what else they do because I'm running I'm running Windows 7.
I'm running an operating system that does not support. I don't think you're missing much. I mean,
I've really been using Linux since 2017. I just haven't told anybody.
I keep waiting. Paul and I were joking about this yesterday that Apple just buys Microsoft. And then the first thing that pops into my head is like the wall behind me just falls down and there's just a Mac lab behind me. And like I can finally reveal the truth.
Right. Like it's just a blue like a green screen thing. And
just powered by
I have like these racks of Mac minis behind me.
Yep. Mac Pros to the eyes, up to the eyes. Just it all comes out. Finally. Speaking of coming out too, Skype getting accused of some big stuff out of China in the Guardian. We'll see if that.
Yeah, although this is from a year ago. So in other words, I guess what happened was they actually found someone who had said, yeah, this happened. And you probably remember last year, Vice outed, I don't know if they outed Microsoft, but they certainly outed like Amazon and Google and maybe Apple too. And all of them were like, oh, we care about privacy. Sorry, we're going to change our ways. And, Apple for a little while actually stopped analyzing Siri conversations and then they kind of quietly brought it back. So this is from that time frame, but basically, I guess they did like minimal security checks on people, and they were able to like do this work from home on their own laptops. So they could have shared these recordings with anybody, and now they don't do that anymore. Now apparently this all happens in a secure facility, which is not in China. So yeah, progress.
Yeah, the other thing too that's come across is, have you seen what happened with that? Are you familiar with the browser extension Honey?
Yeah.
So PayPal bought them for like $4 or $5 billion. And then before Christmas, Amazon started throwing up like security alerts that if you had that browser extension installed and you went to Amazon and said, hey, this may not be secure, you should uninstall it. I mean, if you're looking, if you're trying to skirt around antitrust, that's not the way you do it. That's not.
I know that the word regulation is not a positive one in some circles, but I got to tell you, these companies, this comes up in all kinds of different ways. Like, I think there needs to be curbs on what they can and cannot do. And I guess we call that regulation. So, I was talking to Andrew this week about Sony was building a car. And I'm like, you know what? No. No, I don't think they should be able to build a car. The last thing I want is a Microsoft, Google, Apple car. And the reason is I've used their products. And it's fun when like iOS 13 needs to be patched like 115 times in 3 months, or Windows for some reason gets 3 sets of patches every month now, or whatever it is. But that's not as fun with a car. Yeah. And if my iPhone doesn't work properly in some capacity for a couple of days or something, nobody dies.
Well, maybe. I mean, you could be like, and just chuck it.
No, but I mean, at some point, don't we just say no? Like, no.
No. I get what you mean. I'm not so offended by the Sony car as I am Amazon just trying to destroy another business's acquisition.
I don't know enough about this history, but I bet if you go back in time, you will find examples of the railroad industry working to screw over automobiles or whatever back in the day, or like you'll find historically like this kind of behavior very common. When you get a company that controls or is dominant or very powerful in whatever industry, and something comes along that threatens that, this is what they do. It's shitty, but it's super predictable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's big.
Apple does this all the time, right?
Yeah. Steel in the railroads, if I remember correctly, it'd be they would go to these guys and try to get steel for their tracks, right? And then they'd be like, it'd be a real pity if we charged you guys more to drive your steel across our tracks if you don't give it to us for a better rate. Right? I mean, that's...
Right. Right.
There's all sorts of stuff. Like,
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. We kind of focus on our industry as we should and as we do, but and I just, like I said, I don't know enough about the history of a lot of this stuff to speak about it in any authoritative fashion. But this has happened again and again and again throughout history. You know it has.
Oh yeah, yeah. So fun times. We'll see how that all shakes out. It might be a while before. I don't know. I mean, PayPal's got some money, obviously, so they could go after them.
Yeah, PayPal is. Are they standalone? Were they part of eBay or
they were? But I believe they got spun out.
Spun out, yeah.
Because they got. I think it was. I believe if I remember correctly, it was eBay. Then eBay bought PayPal a long time ago. That's how like Elon Musk and all those guys got money.
Interesting.
And then I think they eventually spun PayPal back out of eBay because I can't even tell you the last time I even went to eBay's website. But
yeah, me too. Our industry is so short-lived and yet has such a rich history. It's kind of funny. You forget things that happened a relatively short time ago.
Yeah.
For example, like you mentioned how Elon Musk and others got their money. The guy, what's the guy's name? The guy who started or owns the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban.
Yep.
Made all his money selling MP3.com.
Or was it
right?
Or was it radio.com? He sold something to Yahoo.
Something like that. Yeah, we can't ever remember. It was so long ago.
Oh, I think it was
Broadcast. But it wasn't that long ago.
I think it was broadcast.com. I think something like
but
that. Whatever. Yeah.
The point is something that made a ton of money briefly at some time, not that long ago.
Yeah.
Within my children's lifetimes. Can't even remember who they are. And the guy, he's like an oil baron now.
Yeah.
Like he might as well be, right? He's like old money.
Yeah. I mean, at least Yahoo's doing well. So they made good use.
Yeah, but you know what? I bet all the primary people who were responsible for Yahoo, they're all rich. They are. Not these, Jerry Yang is not living on the streets of San Francisco or whatever that guy's name was. He's not.
No, I know. I mean, now Yahoo's just like a footnote of, is it even still owned by Verizon? I can't even, it got passed around so much. It's like AOL and then Verizon and whatever.
Yeah. Why would anyone want this brand?
I don't know. I mean, I think yahoo.com, I think their stocks and maybe their fantasy football.
It's like netscape.com is still a thing, I bet.
Oh, sure. Sure.
For some reason. Like MSN.com.
Yeah. And remember the Go network? I think this is by ABC.
Yes. GeoCities.
Which I think that legacy is like still around. Like if you go to like something like abc.com, I thought at one point it would still like jump up and occasionally show like go.abc.
Yeah. So it was go.com, I think?
I don't know. I'm sure it was at one point.
Oh, man. Oh, it goes to Disney.
There you go.
Which is ABC.
Yeah.
You're right. That's ABC.
So there you go.
That's funny.
You got anything else for today, Paul?
I don't know. No, I guess not.
You'll be very happy to know my wife is currently painting, which we talked about briefly, but she is painting it 2016 gray, I believe, as you call it.
Yes. Right. The house that the color that every house.
She picked out these colors. I'm like, it's fine. I mean, they're basement walls.
Absolutely fine.
And it will have white trim, and it's fine. It's got a little bit more blue in it. It's kind of like a bluish gray than a true 2016 gray.
I think that I like that. Well, for example, you can't really tell the true color of the wall behind me, but it looks yellowy, but it's really just a beige, like a manila color.
Yep.
I actually like the contrast of a gray or a blue gray with the white trim that actually I don't have, but would normally have. And for some reason, it's like beige with off beige trim. It really is kind of an eye test in here. I don't know why we did that. Anyway, I like the contrast of it. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly why we picked it. We're like, we need a color, but we don't want it to be like really loud. It just needs to be a color for a wall. They're gonna be on all the walls and white trim.
I got just the color. Just turn on House Hunters from 2016, and
there it is, 2016. There's that color.
You still see it too, like on some of the recent ones. You can tell like a house was last painted during that little boom time for that color.
Yep. Yeah, our upstairs doesn't have any gray, but our basement is gray and white.
That's fine.
Light flooring, which is supposed to arrive, I think, Tuesday. So
I'm gonna do something in here. I'm gonna
drill that Ethernet cord finally.
I am gonna do that.
Still on the agenda.
Yeah. No, I am gonna do it.
Before the flowers come back, after the flowers come back.
I am gonna do it.
All right, no time commitment. I like it. All right, folks, so that wraps it up for this week. We will be back on Monday, and hopefully everybody has a good weekend.
Dude, it's going to be 60 degrees this weekend.